Welcome to Business Innovators Radio, featuring industry influencers and trendsetters sharing proven strategies to help you build a better life right now.
Hi, this is Tamara Patzer, and I'm happy to introduce you to today's guest, Stacey Blanchet. She is Your Own Girl Friday, and she helps individuals and companies, large and small, create a plan of action and execute for brand development, marketing, and hopefully results of big awareness. Stacey sits down with her clients from the beginning to make sure that you get exactly what you want and that you both are seeing the same goals and outcomes. So it's really important that you listen to the advice that Stacey has for us today. Welcome, Stacey.
Thank you for having me, Tammy.
I'm really excited to learn more about what you do. So first off, who do you help?
Well, that's actually a very loaded question. Just to give you an example of how broad that question can be, in 1 month, for example, this month, I will be taking on a yoga sportswear company. I will be taking on an individual entrepreneur who has an invention, and I will be taking on a band from Nashville. So it depends upon the skills that I bring to the table, and it depends upon what I feel my networks can help with.
Okay, so let's take one of your new clients and let's kind of use them as a potential case study. How about the band from Nashville? That's pretty intriguing.
Well, yeah, it actually is very intriguing. I know them. I've known them now for about a year. I've watched them grow. So what's important to realize is that when you are trying to be in the entertainment industry, most people who do PR and marketing and branding will not take you on unless you already have something of a website, a following, an album, maybe some tunes, Apple, wherever you want to place a single, you have to actually have something for PR to PR. And build from. Most PR people will not take somebody unless it's something on a small scale or a large scale that doesn't have already a company or a brand established. So I think it's very important that people understand that PR is only as good as what they have to work with. So if you have nothing to work with, you're growing your business organically, and that's extremely difficult to do, and it takes a long time.
Yeah, organic marketing is the slower path to getting your branding. So with let's use the band as an example. What would you say are 2 or 3 problems, real or perceived, that you're going to be solving for them?
Well, the real problems basically for, I think, anyone, including a band, is they want to make money. So how do you make money? You get your product out there and you get people to buy your albums and you get bookings. There's really only a few avenues available to people who are in the music industry to make money, and those are getting very small and few between. The pool is already saturated, so you have to have something unique already established for the customer to want to purchase your music. So that means you getting on the road. That means you working out of your car. That means you are on your social media. That means you take people on a journey with you. So when I sit down with a band, I'm going to look at every single one of the band members. I'm going to think, as an individual, who do I want to follow? Who would I think people want to follow? So men tend to want to follow women, and so I'm going to probably set up something separate for the female singer of the band as I am going to set up something separate from the men from the band. What makes this band unique is they're a family band. It's a father, a son, and a daughter. And so I like to take people on a journey. I'm all about, if you're a band, people need to care about you and your music and want to see you succeed and actually like what they're listening to. And in this day and age, it's even more important that people feel they have some sort of a connection to you. So whether it's on social media or meeting you at fan meet and greets, people need to feel that they know you on some sort of a level. So I tend to start with the social media first. I like to have boundaries set. I like to give fans a little bit, but still have my clients maintain some private. That is the fine line that I think every individual walks with social media. And that is going to be determined in degrees. So it's going to depend upon who you're working with, what the band feels comfortable with sharing, and everybody coming together with a collective plan. I think once you have everybody on a journey, I think you're on a good start.
So thinking about, okay, so in this scenario, you have three members. The father, obviously, he's going to be about 20 years older than the son and the daughter. So there's going to be a fan base for him alone, as well as the daughter and the son, and then as the group. So what are some of the ways that you create content, or how do you create that trust factor for the band and the individuals? What do you typically suggest that they do?
Well, the daughter is about 24 and she's very beautiful. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to establish some sort of a live feed for her. And a lot of people want to go on her photo shoots. A lot of people want to go on her fan meet and greets. I want to do behind the scenes of them rehearsing. I want to show people what it's like to be on the road as a family band. I mean, you know, there's a dynamic here that's very interesting, that at least I find interesting, is that both the young kids, I should call them kids, but they're in their 20s, are traveling with their mom and their dad while they're adults. And I think that's a very interesting, I actually think that's very interesting, and I wonder how many people would find that interesting. And so I want to play sort of off of that. How does a dad know how to navigate through the music industry, know that his daughter's going to be looked at as a sex symbol, but yet protect her at the same time, while she's trying to break out and become a woman and get known in her own right? I think they're very on board with this, as long as it's done in taste. You know, there's nothing that you need to exploit. There's no reason to be trashy. There's no reason to get down the gutter with it. But why not highlight? She sings beautifully. She's very fashionable, so magazines like her. And I say, take your fans on a journey, because any publicity that comes to individuals also comes to the band. And each individual can bring a certain age group, a certain demographic, and they get to bring a different point of view. I think it's kind of exciting to not only be able to bring attention to their music, but also to bring attention to them individually and how long they've been in the music industry.
I think that would be really interesting. So on the which social media platforms are you suggesting that for a band which is a little bit different than maybe your average company, but I think a lot of our listeners are interested in knowing, well, gee, what social media platform should I be looking at, no matter what business I'm in?
Well, in terms of live video feed, I think it's ingenious that Facebook has launched Facebook Live. I think they're going to give a real run to YouTube and to all of Snapchat, Periscope. Whenever I start a social media campaign with my clients, I tell them not to do too many, because if you do too many, you lose too many people. Keep it simple. So in terms of them, I'm going to want a lot of the stuff to go on Facebook Live, because I want to attach it already to their established Facebook page, which is where they have a majority of the people coming through. Then it can get posted on YouTube, and it can get posted to, when they're doing a music video, we can roll out a live chat, a live feed. People can comment. People can actually get involved in Facebook Live. It's really quite ingenious what they've done, and it stays up. Unlike if you do Periscope, once you shut down on the video goes away. Same thing with Snapchat. I believe. I have never used Snapchat, but I think the video content goes away. I think with Facebook, it stays. So for our magazine, the magazine that I currently work with, Trend Privé magazine, we use Facebook Live for our editorials. And people flock in and leave comments and ask comments to the photographers, the makeup artists, and I want the same thing to happen with the band. I think if you're a band in this day and age and you don't have live video of you rehearsing or people being able to connect with you, Twitter is a great way to pass around videos, have a connection with your fans as well, because you can respond directly to them. People love that. They really do. They get behind people that, and you'll see that a lot now from celebrities will do it. I mean, nobody does it better, I believe, than the Kardashians. They're phenomenal, but they use all social media platforms. And what they've developed now, which is quite ingenious, is their own app. So instead of making money for all of the other social media platforms, you have to pay to be on their private apps in order to see what's going on with them. So that's a thought for any type of a band, but that's very costly. So I suggest using what is available to you now, reaching a mass market instead of trying to grow that organically. They had an app already established, built in with the what do you call it? The fan followers already in establishment, so they didn't have to grow organically, which makes it very easy.
You said something about the magazine that you work with. You said that you use the Facebook Live now for editorials. Now
Yes.
that is ingenious for a magazine, and I think it's really important that people understand. I come from a journalism background. I'm a former newspaper editor, and one of the things that I noticed in media, especially old school media, meaning print media, is that they've always seemed to have trouble making that transition from the editorial print to the live media. And I think when you said that, it was like, yeah, that is a really good way to get the interaction with your readers, have live, use social media, the live video, the YouTube, Twitter, all of your different types of media to connect. I think that's really, really important because, like you said, it isn't just about promoting a band. It can be about promoting almost any business. And the live Facebook, I think, is a game changer. If people stop and think about everything you just said, you can record a video, it's live, but then it lives on beyond that moment in time. So what do you think your personal magic ability is when you help your clients and customers?
Well, first of all, I get to know my customers, which is, I don't take on every client that I meet because some of them, quite frankly, I just really can't help. They may not have anything that I feel that I can bring to the table to make it better for them. I don't want to get involved in anything that I'm not going to be successful at. So I do like a challenge. I love something that's very new, but at the same time, I don't want to waste somebody's money. So I sit down, really go over it. I get to know my clients. I talk to them on the phone. They get email updates from me. They're in constant contact with me. We're always on the same plan. So they know that I genuinely care about them succeeding. I call it the fine art of customer service. I think that customer service has really gone by the wayside in a lot of ways. I think a lot of people just don't care anymore. But one of the things I noticed when 2009 hit and all these businesses started suffering was a lot of the businesses that stayed intact were the businesses that provided great customer service along with good pricing. I mean, nowadays, when I sit down and I go with my clients, I also look at what they're charging their clients for their services, because if you're, for example, the yoga company, Amazon is going to be their biggest competitor, and Amazon can turn around and send you something in 2 days. You don't have to wait very long anymore for anything. So if you're a custom-based type of a design company, you're going to be in a lot of trouble in this day and age, because now everybody wants instantaneously. They want to be able to have their packages. They want them convenient in their own home. So retail is very difficult. So when I work with someone like a yoga company, live video feed is not going to be something that they need. That's not going to work for them. What's going to be most important is customer retention and making sure that they get their products out quickly and that they're well-made products, because you want return customers, you want referrals. So each customer is very unique in what they're requiring. And so I think every person who handles brand development should have a unique formula. There are formulas that you do follow. I don't believe in this day and age that print is dead. For a magazine, if you're not in print and distribution, you can't get advertising dollars. So for everything that the digital media has brought, print still reigns supreme in terms of advertising dollars. And distribution is still king. Stores, people still want to pick up a magazine. And I think if you have a product, you have to be able to get a customer to stop, look, observe, and then take an action, hopefully to purchase your product. That's a lot for somebody to be able to get off of social media. When people are flipping through everything so quickly, you see too much, you don't see anything. So print still is the most effective because most people stop and look at it and then decide what to do with it. So I don't rule out print. I think that you need, in this day and age, if you're a company of anything, you need to have print and social media going for you. Without it, I think you're going to die.
Well, integrated media. I think a lot of times people, I've heard a lot of marketers who say, email is dead, television is dead, magazines are dead, newspapers are, I mean, to some people, it's all, everything is dead except whatever they're deciding is the in thing at the moment. But really, you do have to look across the board at everything. So what do you think are the popular misconceptions about brand marketing and social media and what you do for people in general?
Well, I think the biggest misconception is that everyone thinks that they have a Facebook page is automatically going to generate into money. Or Twitter, or somehow they're going to put a product out there and people are just going to flock and buy a million of them, and all their problems are going to be solved. And in PR, the way that you can tell fake pages from real pages is you look for the actual interaction that goes on each page. So let's say your page has 500,000 people that like it, and yet you only get 6 people who like your posts. Chances are those are probably bot likes. So social media is now being found out in terms of, what's real and what's not real. People are getting very savvy now, and I think people are sort of pulling back on relying only on social media. Television most certainly is not dead. It is still the hardest media to get on, reaches still the largest audience, and it pays the highest. So if you're lucky enough to get on television, to have a show or whatever, it's still the number one medium. It's still television. That hasn't gone anywhere, and it's not going to go anywhere for a long time. I think digital media is sort of kind of intertwining with that, and sort of the cable networks, Dish, all of that type of stuff. I think nowadays you have a much bigger platform to play with on television than you did 10, 15 years ago. Now there's 15,000 channels. So I think that people who think that the media, traditional media, is dead, I think are in a lot of trouble. I think the pool has gotten very small. Let's say, for example, if I was to take on a life coach, the pool for life coaches is so oversaturated that even people who have best-selling books can't get a booking, paying for speaking gigs. That stuff is almost gone. That model is almost gone unless you're in the top 1%. So you have to have a different way of making a living, and that means getting clients to want your services. It's no longer about having your book out there. That's just a platform now to really get people to pay attention and give you credibility. But that's an example of a field that I probably wouldn't want to take on, only because unless they've got multiple books, it's just too hard to really get the word out there that they're worth it over 1 million other people. Mm-hmm. So I think that people need to start being realistic in terms of what it is, service that they're offering, what price point they're offering it at, and how and what is going to make a business a viable business. It's always about customers. It's never about being well known. It's never about getting famous. I always say get famous and then what? It has to translate into you being able to make a living. So I'm kind of what they call a dream killer. I tell everyone, don't let your dreams fund your lifestyle unless they can fund your lifestyle. So
it's interesting that you bring that up. I had a conversation with someone about this very topic because they have all of these ideas about being successful, and they are a very successful former CEO of a multi-billion-dollar company, but they don't have a big why, and they want to talk about success. And I said, yet they keep floundering. And I said, well, I can tell you why you're not having any success, because you don't have a product to sell. You can't just think that you're going to make money on the fact that you're tall and good looking and you have a good on-stage presence, because you can tell people motivational stories all day long, but if you don't have something for them to use, like a program or a service or a product, what are they going to do with that information other than say, wow, that was inspiring?
Yeah.
So I think it's interesting.
Yeah,
so
there's no action involved.
What do you think is the main reason that people don't use PR services or work with people like you who can help them to develop actually a plan where they could actually end up making some money using their expertise?
Well, a lot of times what I think people need to understand, it could be, I think it's two things. One, it's always about money. That's, first and foremost, it comes down to money. People think marketing budgets are, they don't put those as the top. A true successful business always has a major marketing budget, because they realize if you can't market, then you're dead in the water. So I think a lot of times the biggest hurdle that a lot of people do when they start a business is they think they can start a business with no money. And I always tell them the same joke that Steve Martin always used to say was, do you want to know how to make $1 million? And, you say, how do you make $1 million? And he says, first you start with $1 million. And, it's a big misconception in the music industry. It's a big misconception in the entertainment industry. And it's a big misconception in business that you can start a business with no money. You can't do it. You need to have a budget. You need to be in it for the long haul. You need to have a good 2-3 years out to where you can pay for a viable business. If it's just you, then you're relying upon your own skills. Sometimes people who start businesses are not the right person for that business. And that's the hardest conversation that I've had to have with some of my clients over the years, is that sometimes they're just not CEO material. They may have invented it, but they may not have the right expertise to guide whatever type of company this is going to be. If it's going to be a multi-level marketing company and you're a copywriter, well, you're not going to make it. You need to get somebody who understands how a multi-level marketing company works. You need to have somebody. So I think that people need to, when they're looking at their businesses, whatever it is that they're going to launch, they really need to figure out what their strengths are and what their weaknesses are, and have the real conversations with themselves. And I'm not saying, there are PR people. You can go to Hollywood and you can walk up to any PR agency. The reputable ones won't take you. The reputable ones will get you away. But there's going to be a lot of people where you go up to them and you say, make me famous. They're going to take $4,000 a month and they're going to stick you on red carpets. It's going to go absolutely nowhere. So you're going to waste all this money. But a reputable PR for, person, like say in Hollywood, won't take you unless you have an agent and a manager, and then it works in sort of a pyramid, because they understand that you need to have all of those covered in order for it to work correctly. And if you don't have all three of those, you're not making it in Hollywood. And it is extremely difficult to get those. And that's why it takes people so long to actually make it. You hear them, living out of their car, living in hotel rooms, living in, picking up garbage to make it as an actor or something like that, having to go to casting calls. I mean, know your industry. And most people don't. They think they've got a great idea, and then they just think that they can run with it and it's going to make them $1 million. They don't understand the industry. That's the number one thing that I get from people when they start a business, that they just don't understand the industry of what they work in, and not understanding how the price point works, not understanding if their customers are going to pay that kind of money for the service, how they're going to get it to the customers, and what's going to be their plan to actually let the customers know that they're there. And I run into those challenges all the time. Those are not my clients, because it's going to be an uphill battle. It's going to be a really hard battle to fight. And you really need people who understand that concept.
So like you said, sometimes you have to be the dream killer, but the reality is that, and I've ran into situations where somebody has actually invented something that would be a really, really good product, but when they go to sell it, there's something about them, people don't buy it from them because of whatever it is. But yet the product itself could be, the next thing, but they're not the person to sell it, because of whatever it is. So that is really interesting. So if somebody wants to learn more about you and how you can help them, where can they get more information?
Well, my website is probably the best one. It's yourownGirlFriday.com. And on there, see, one of the things that I tell everybody when you're looking and shopping for somebody who does brand development PR is look at their website, because it should list their accomplishments. You don't have to list all of your clients' accomplishments, but you should be somebody who is able to list your accomplishments. So I don't let anybody not know what I'm doing in terms of business. I tend to keep social media private. For me, I'm not one of those. I'm not fan based. I don't have a product really to sell. So, other than my services, and I'm one of the rare ones that I advertise in print. So, all of my clients come to me through print advertising. None come from me. And I've done the whole Facebook ads, and I've done different profiles. I've done Google. And just to see how they work, just to see what's important to know about them. Those did not bring me any customers. All of my customers for the last 15 years have come from print.
Oh, that's really interesting, because
even to this day,
I can see why print could be very useful, because again, we live in this virtual world and everything's so fast moving, but print is something that you can hold in your hand, you can look at it, you can read it, you can think about it, and if you're really interested in it, you're going to put it someplace where you'll look at it again and again and again. And so I can see that, how that could be something. And again, another reason, why I think that works, because so many people have walked away from print, and so it actually makes you unique. It's kind of like when you have no tattoos in a world where everybody else has tattoos.
Well, I also think, I did a lot of research about where I was going to put my print ads. Who's reading, what are the demographics, what's my price point of what I'm charging, who do I want to reach, where do they live in San Diego? And so I do very targeted print advertising, and I'm consistent with it. So what I'll do is it runs for a year. And then I tried the Facebook, with the same amount of budget per month that I do for the print. While Facebook will give me lots of impressions and people will go to my website, it didn't net a single phone call. Now, that could be because maybe I did something incorrectly. I'm not sure, but I did it for 6 months. What Facebook told me was I had over 90,000 people, supposedly, that were at my website. Now, I can advertise in one print magazine, and during that week, it'll go to 350,000 homes. And then on an average, I probably get about 10 phone calls a month from that advertising, which is, to me, it's a better fit for me. It's not a fit for everybody, but I also tie in my website to my social media. So my Facebook page is on my website page. So when somebody goes to my website, they can click on my Facebook page and see everything that I'm accomplishing in real time. I keep it updated every single day so that they know if I'm on a radio show, they know if I'm launching a client, or if there's a book signing someplace. Everything is there for everyone to see that day. It's always updated every day. It's not a month behind. It's not a week behind. It's daily.
That's really, really good. Just to let you know, and our listeners, I will include all of your contact information in the show notes. And also, I'll be sending you live links to the show when it goes live, and an embed code so you can embed it in your website, and then, of course, share it on social media. So, Susan, I really, really appreciate, I'm sorry, I called you Susan. I apologize, Stacey. That's the S name.
Blanchet. That's fine. It takes a while. It takes a while. People still doesn't get it right.
But Stacey, I really, really appreciate the time that you took with me today. And everyone, go check out Your Own Girl Friday and learn more. And I really appreciate how you explained the process, because that is something that we all think about, well, I'd love to, be famous, and I want to do this and that and the other thing. But I think you brought us down to earth and talked about the nuts and bolts of what has to happen when you're using integrated marketing to process. And you also opened our eyes to looking at real world media and the fact that nothing really is dead or dying. If it still exists, it's just, does it work for your ideal client? Is it where your people are hanging out? And I think you made the perfect point. You said, well, my clients respond better to magazine advertising than they do to Facebook. Maybe they're using Facebook and your online stuff to check you out, but they're making a phone call decision based on the fact that they're also seeing you in the real world. So you really have the you everywhere now down, because you're not only in the virtual world, you're in the real world too, which means that you stand out. So I think that's really cool.
This day and age, everybody has to. I think you really need to understand, number one, it's for every product to know who your market is. If you don't know who your market is, you're dead in the water. You better know your customer. And that takes a lot of research, paying attention and trying things and failing and succeeding. You're only as good as your product. PR can get you all the way out there, but if your product is not what clients want, they won't buy it.
Excellent advice. I really appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you very much for having me. I really appreciate it.
This is Tammy Patzer. Go make it a great day.
Thanks for listening to Business Innovators Radio. To hear all episodes featuring leading industry influencers and trendsetters, visit us online at businessinnovatorsradio.com today.